Okay, class, let's we discuss exercise number 1. So if you look at exercise number 1, these are the scenario where the offerer is required to sell the house. Okay, to make it you understand easier, because all of these are in sentence, you can write down properly by date. Okay, for example, let's say you can take out one piece of paper. Okay, take out one piece of paper. Maybe you can write down like this. Okay, everyone, maybe I can share you the blank slide. Okay, look at exercise number 1. So if I write exercise number 1, you can see that on the 4th of January, what happened on the 4th of January? On the 4th of January, Fiona, or maybe I write down properly. Okay, 4th of January, you can see what happened. Fiona is offer Lian to sell the house. To sell the house. Okay, if you see the question like very long sentence like that, it is good if you can write down properly in a proper way as reference for your own understanding. Okay, you can write down this one based on the flow. Yeah. Okay, number 2, on 6th of January, what happened on 6th of January? Lian receive, or you can say receive the letter. Okay, receive the letter from Fiona. Okay, and then after that you can see that Lian sent on the same day. Okay, Lian sent the letter of acceptance to Fiona. I would like you to take note on the date exactly. Yeah, Lian sent the letter of acceptance to Fiona. Okay, what happened on 11th of January? 11th of January, Fiona sent the letter for revocation. So now Fiona would like to revoke the offer. So if you want to understand again, this is the offerer. Offerer is Fiona. Okay, and then maybe if I put verses, another one is Lian. So this is Lian. Okay, so Lian is the offeree, or you can say proposee. You have to take note on this one to understand properly. Fiona is offerer. Okay, now I continue with what happened next. Okay, 11th of January, Fiona has revoked the offer. Now look at the next one. What happened? On 13th of January, the revocation letter reached to Lian. Right, and then the last one on 14th of January. Okay, what happened on 14th of January? The acceptance letter reached to Fiona. Okay, why the acceptance letter reached Fiona? Because acceptance letter is done by Lian. So I would like to understand this scenario properly. On 4th of January, Fiona offered Lian to sell her house. So this is Fiona, the offerer, offered to sell the house. Okay, number 2, Lian received the letter. Exactly after he received the letter, he sent the letter of acceptance on the same day. Okay, and then on 11, Fiona has sent the revocation of the letter. 13th of January, revocation letter reached Lian. Acceptance letter reached Fiona. Okay, what you have to do when you are given this kind of question? Number 1, you have to understand the flow. Okay, for this flow, you don't have to write again in exam or in assignment. You don't have to write. You may need to summarize this one properly for you to understand. Okay, that is to understand the flow. That is the first step. Understand the flow of the scenario. Number 2, you have to find what are the issues in this particular scenario. So there are issues here is whether the acceptance is complete. Okay, acceptance is complete or not. Is complete or not. And then there are also issue whether I put the question mark, there are also issues whether the revocation is valid. The revocation is valid or not. And then you can see here that, sorry, this is revocation. You can also see here that there are issues in the postage. So in English common law, we have the postal rule. Okay, postal rule show that once the letter is put in the letter box, okay, because nowadays we also have the record of the they call it as tracking. If you buy something online, also you can see the tracking number is this one and this one. Okay, so when you put in the letterbox, you have the tracking number, that is considered rich. It is the principal rule in the law of contract. Okay, so these are the issue. The issue of the offer is not the issue because it is exactly the offer. But now we have to know whether the acceptance is valid, whether revocation is valid, and what are the other issue. So these three issues are something that you have to discuss in answering this question. Okay, if you would like to advise Fiona or you would like to advise Lian, as what have been shown in the question, you have to relate with the issue available in this particular scenario. That is how we answer a law question. Okay, now I would like you to look at what happened here. If I ask you for the first scenario, is the acceptance is complete? The acceptance is complete on, alright, here using red color, the acceptance is complete on 6th of January. Why? Because according to the postal rule, once you put in the box, when he sent the letter, is considered rich. Okay, so this is our overview. Okay, now we have to check whether the revocation is valid or not. Now you have to understand when we talk about revocation, there are also the issues that we have to mention. The communication must be complete. That means it must come to the knowledge of the other person or the proposer that revocation need to be carried out. Okay, so there are issues here that you have to understand. Revocation must reach the person who you would like to revoke the offer, and then in this case acceptance already done and complete on 6th of January. Okay, so in this case, is revocation can be carried out. If you want to answer this question, you have to mention that revocation is not valid, and then you have to give the reason why. The revocation is not valid in this scenario because the revocation of the revocation letter only had been sent by Fiona after the communication of acceptance had been made on 6th of January. That is how you answer the question. So you have to write down properly. Okay, the revocation is not effective because Fiona only sent after the acceptance had been made. Okay, you have to look at who sent the acceptance first. And then you can see here, the acceptance letter reached Fiona very late. So there will be no issue even though the acceptance reached Fiona after the revocation. What happened when acceptance letter reached Fiona on 14th of January? The communication of acceptance still valid on 6th of January. That is the principal rule under postal rule. Okay, so you can see in this case, the revocation is not effective. The acceptance is effective or complete on 6th of January. In this case, let's say I would like to advise Lian as per written in the question. Lian is the offeree. Okay, so if you advise Lian, Lian can win if he sue the offerer. Why? Because he can prove that he already sent the letter before the revocation is being carried out, even though the acceptance letter only reached Fiona on 14th of January. Okay, and then if I ask you to ask Lian again, you may also add another point. You can write down to Lian that Fiona may not win the case because Fiona is not allowed to make the revocation of the offer because he already sent the acceptance letter before the revocation is being carried out. So in order to answer this question, number one, you have to find the issue. Number two, you have to look at the scenario. Number three, you have to explain the scenario. Then, in order for you to explain all the scenario, make sure you refer to the actual clause in the refer to the actual clause in the Contract Act. Clause 4.2 in the section of the Contract Act is actually referring to the postal rule. Even though you did not see the word postal rule, but the Contract Act interpretation of that clause is referring to postal rule. Same thing when you want to answer regarding to section 7. Section 7A, section 17, section 7A, 7B is also referring to the acceptance. So you can write down this is the issue, what are the definition of the acceptance, and then what clause you have to refer, then refer to the scenario. Same goes to revocation. Okay, the second issue is revocation. Okay, and then what clause you have to refer to mention about revocation. Do not copy the clause in the Contract Act exactly. You have to explain the clause and refer to the scenario in order for you to conclude whether at the end who will win the case, at the end who is liable, at the end who is able to claim for breach of the contract. Okay, so in this case, Fiona and Lian has formed a contract on 6th of January. So in this case also, Lian can claim for breach of contract if Fiona is not if Fiona refused to continue with the contract because contract already formed. So another issue is whether she can claim for breach of contract. Breach of contract if Fiona refuse to continue with the contract. Okay, looking back at this scenario, okay, if you refer back to this scenario, the scenario as mentioned in the Contract Act, I go back to the slide. You can see slide number. You can see slide number, our exercise number 1. Okay, look at this one. This is long sentence. Maybe some of you has impression means you did not understand. So that's why I mentioned when you receive any question in exam, the letter is not like point by point. Sorry, the question is not point by point. It is in one paragraph. So what you need to do when you read the question, you have to think about the issue. Okay, you have to think about the flow properly, write down properly. Maybe you can summarize on your own. But if you find that there is no problem in reading this one, then no issue. You can see here the information mentioned about by a letter dated on 4th of January, Fiona offered to sell her house for Lian for 350,000. Lian received the offer letter on 6th of January and replied by post. Can you see that? 6th of January, he replied by post stating that she accepted the offer. This is female as well. The reply did not reach Fiona. So that is the issue. Even though the reply did not reach Fiona exactly on that day, but he or she already sent the letter of acceptance. On 11th of January, Fiona sent a revocation offer. So when you explain the third issue here, Fiona letter is not effective. That is the correct word. Fiona letter is not effective because she is not allowed to revoke the offer once the communication or once the acceptance is being made. Okay, even though it reached Lian on 13th of January. In this case, there is also another clause under section 5 and section 6. You can refer to your Contract Act. The letter of the revocation reached Lian on 13th of January. So in this case, the communication of the revocation only happened on 13th of January. But then the acceptance letter already sent on 6th of January. That is the flow of the scenario. Okay, the letter of acceptance received by Fiona on 14th January is not effective because according to postal rule, the submission of the submission by postage on the acceptance letter is communicated is effective on 6th of January. That is how we advise Lian. Refer back to my explanation earlier. There are possibility that I give you similar scenario, but I may ask you one question, advise Lian, maybe 10 marks. Okay, because you can explain about acceptance. Number 2, you can explain about revocation. Okay, number two, if I ask you another question, advise Fiona. So maybe 5 marks only because Fiona did not have any point to defend herself, because Fiona should know that revision is not effective once the acceptance already been made by Lian. Okay, now look at the second question here. Would your advice would be different if the letter of acceptance in the end say that I agree to buy your house for RM 345,000. So if you look at this scenario, what happened actually? Lian has received the offer, but in this case, he or she has changed the term in the offer. So in this question, I can give you about 10 marks. How you want to answer this question? Number one, you can answer that the, the acceptance is valid earlier. We can say the acceptance is valid earlier. Why? Because he sent the letter of acceptance on 6th of January. Okay, so your answer will be different definitely. Why? Because in receiving the offer, Lian should not change the term. Should not change the term of the offer. This is according to section 7, 1 or 2 in the Contract Act. You can refer that the acceptance must be absolute and not qualified. Okay, so in this case, your answer to advise Fiona and Ian will be different, because in this case, the letter of revocation is automatically effective, because the changing of the term by Lian is actually rejecting the offer. Can you remember that one? If you still remember the issue of counter offer means rejection of offer. Rejection of offer. Okay, how you want to explain this? Because according to section 7, the acceptance must be made without any qualification. You cannot change the term. In this case, Lian has changed the term as what have been stated. If he would like to answer acceptance, he should say that the price, I agree to buy the house at the price of 350,000, but not giving the counter offer. Once he give the counter offer, the acceptance is not valid anymore. So Fiona has the right to revoke the offer. That shows the difference in terms of explanation. So I also would like to highlight again, for this subject, there are a lot of scenario where you have to use your own words. Okay, not only by copying the clause, but you have to use your own words to make sure that the sentence, the person that you put that I had been mentioned in the scenario have been written in your answer. Okay, so the concept is there. You have to understand the concept. Okay, now I would like to discuss exercise number 2. Okay, look at exercise number 2. On 10th of March, Alan wrote to Hassan proposing to sell his apartment in Nilai at the price of 450,000. Okay, this is on 10th of March. Hassan accepted the proposal through registered letter posted on 13th of March. So from this statement, you can see automatically when acceptance is made, 13th of March. Okay, now there is the issue here. Since there was no reply from Hassan for about a month, maybe the letter is going nowhere. Okay, and then sold the house or the apartment to Chong on 5th of April. See, you did not receive the letter, then you think that the acceptance is not being made, then you sell to someone else. This is something that you have to be careful as well, yeah. Okay, on 6th of April, Alan received the letter of acceptance via registered letter to purchase the said apartment. So can you see that a day after he sell the house or the apartment to someone else, then only he received the letter of acceptance. In this case, because Hassan already gave the acceptance letter, Hassan intend to take legal action against Alan upon knowing that the apartment had been sold to Chong. So maybe in this case, Hassan would like to sue. Take legal action means he would like to sue or bring the letter for the litigation, sue him in the court to get back the apartment with the same price. Okay, can you see that? Advise Hassan. And then the second one, would your answer be different if Alan sent a letter on 13th of March revoking his offer? So there are two issues here. Okay, number one, remember, once you see this question, if you think that you are not be able to understand and see the flow, write down properly. Maybe you can write down, okay, I put here number one, 10 of March. What happened on 10 of March? Alan offer, or you can write down propose to sell a house, to sell his house. Okay, on 13 of okay, on 13 of March, 13 of March, he received the letter. That means he know that Alan would like to sell. 13 of March, Hassan accept the offer. Accept, and straight away, sorry, wrong spelling. Accept the offer and then straight away send the letter. Straight away send the letter for acceptance. Okay, he received and then he accept. That means I put here the post. Okay, and then after that, what happened? Because Alan did not receive the letter, maybe the letter is no way. Okay, so 5th of April only, after 1 month, Alan sell, sorry, you can write down here, Alan sell to Chong. Okay, and then after that, you can write down 6th of April, the letter, or Alan received the letter of acceptance. Alan received the letter of acceptance. Okay, that means only after Alan sell the house to Chong, then he received the letter of acceptance. So in this case, you have to understand the flow, that number one. Number two, how you want to answer this question, you have to identify the issue. So what are the issue here? Whether the acceptance is complete, okay, the issue of acceptance, whether it is complete, and then when you can bring this one to the question where you have to discuss. Okay, you have to discuss the acceptance is complete on 13th of March according to the postal rule. Okay, even though postal rule mentioned what? Postal rule mentioned once the acceptance letter had been put in the box, the letter is considered as reach the person who is making the offer. Okay, and then you can also refer to the section 7 in the contract act, saying that the acceptance is made within the reasonable time, within the reasonable manner. So reasonable time means after he received, he straight away sent for the acceptance letter. We received the letter, he sent. And then you also can mention the second issue under acceptance, the revocation is also done in reasonable manner. Manner means how the acceptance is being made by postage. He also has the record, the registered letter. Can you see that? Registered letter or the letter. Okay. And then the second issue is whether Alan has the right, whether Alan has the right to sell the house, to others, to sell the house. Okay, in this case, you can see that Alan did not make any revocation. He just assumed that the other party is not interested to buy. So in this case, you can write down whether Alan has the right to sell the house to another people. So you can explain that the revocation, now if Alan sell the house to another people, that means he thinks that the acceptance is not being made, and then he thinks that he is able to revoke the offer. So in this case, Alan is not allowed to revoke the offer or to sell to someone else because acceptance already been made. Okay, so Alan is not having the right to sell to someone else. If you have this kind of scenario, what happened at the end? You can see that if Hassan has win the action, the legal action against Alan, he may get back the property. That means what happened is Alan has to return back the money to Chong, so that Chong did not be able to get the house, because originally Alan already has the complete contract with Hassan. Okay, so that is the issue. In this case, when you would like to advise Hassan, because Hassan is the person who accept the offer, you can give the option, you can give the suggestion that acceptance is already complete, so contract already formed. When the contract already formed, Alan has the obligation to carry out, to sell, to handle selling and buying the apartment. When the acceptance is complete, when the contract is complete, Alan is not having the right to sell to someone else. So that is the key point that you have to that you can write down to explain about the advice to Hassan. Okay, and then what if I change the question, advise Ellen? If you need to advise Ellen, you also need to explain to Ellen that the communication of acceptance already complete. So the issue is similar, just to understand, just giving the understanding to Ellen that acceptance is actually already done according to postal rule, according to what statute, what clause in the contract act, which section have you referred, and what are the obligation once the contract is being formed. That is how you advise Ellen. And then if you would like to advise Ellen, you have to mention that you have to revoke the uh, the the contract with Chong, because your contract with Chong is actually void. The contract with Chong is not valid because actually the house is not anymore belong to him, because he already sold to Hassan. Okay. Now look at the second one. Would your answer be different if Alan had sent a letter on a letter of revocation on 13th of March? Okay. For this issue, normally we have to look at the time. Once you see that the revocation had been made on the same day, you can see that even if you send something in using nowadays we have GNT, we have GDEX, I mean the courier. Okay, that is the example. You can see the dates have been mentioned there. Once you have received the receipt, right? When is the time where you post? So if you would like to answer B, we are looking at the time. Okay, you can see that the revocation is effective if the letter is sending before Hassan has sending the letter of acceptance letter. Okay, but if Hassan has sent the acceptance letter before the revocation letter is being carried out, then the revocation is not effective. Okay, I give you one scenario. Yeah. Okay, let's say 2 p.m. Let's say 2 p.m. same day, Hassan send acceptance letter. Okay, so at 2 p.m. the acceptance letter is complete. Okay, let's say 4 p.m. Alan send revocation letter. Okay, so you can see that Hassan has sending the acceptance letter before Alan send the revocation letter. So in this scenario, on the same day, the letter of acceptance is considered valid. Okay, what if I give you another example. Okay, what if let me use another color. On 13th of March. Okay, 2 p.m. Alan send letter of revocation. Okay, this scenario sometimes just to make you confused. Okay, but then the answer is similar. Okay, and then let's say 4 p.m. Hassan send the acceptance letter. Okay, now you can see here, would your answer be different? So the answer is different or not? In this case, 2 p.m. Alan sent the revocation letter. 4 p.m. Hassan sent the letter of acceptance. So when is the acceptance is being carried out? The acceptance is still complete on 13th of March at 4 p.m. Now, the acceptance letter is complete on 4 p.m. same day. Now the issue is whether Alan has allowed to make the revocation. So in this case, you can see that even though Alan send the letter of revocation before the acceptance of letter is being carried out, but principally, if you refer back to the clause, communication of revocation must reach the person to whom the acceptance or the revocation is made. Okay, so the issue here is we have to check the letter of revocation when the letter of revocation reach the person. So let's say the letter of revocation reach the person or reach Hassan on 14 of March. So we can say that revocation still not valid because logically it takes 1 or 2 days for the revocation to be for the letter to reach the other person. Okay, so they are some people may say that means this is not fair, but then that is the rule. They consider more on the acceptance rather than revocation. That means when you are making the contract, when you would like to make any contract, it is not easily able to be cancelled. Okay, and then if you would like to sue someone as well, it is not the simple issue because once you bring the matter for the litigation, it actually involves a lot of money for you to initiate the later to appoint the lawyer. For example, you have to pay like 2,000, 3,000, and so on because this is civil issue. Unless this is for the daily issue, sometimes we can just deal with this particular issue. Okay, now in order for you to answer B question, if I put in the purple scenario, the revocation is only valid on 14th of March. Okay, so in this case, can Alan revoke the offer? Still cannot revoke the offer. Okay, so the answer is similar. Alan did not be able to revoke the offer because the communication of revocation is only make the revocation to be valid. Okay, that is according to the explanation that you can see under section 5 how operation is being made, section 6 as well. Okay, class. Now I would like you to look at the explanation. You can read the explanation as well. According to section 2A, the proposal is said to be accepted when the person to whom the acceptance is made signify his assent to. This sentence you can write down in the introduction to show that Alan has show the willingness to sell the house. Okay, and then Hassan also has showed the willingness to buy once he already posted a letter. According to Lord Denning in the case Enthos versus Miles in 1955, according to the postal rule. So we are going to use this one every time we deal with the postal rule. When a contract is made by post, it is clear law throughout the common law countries that acceptance is complete as soon as the letter is put in the postbox. This is what I did mention. So it's very important for you to explain this one. Okay, you don't have to mention according to law, blah, 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 but at least you should know that according to the postal rule, acceptance is complete as soon as the letter is put in the postbox. This is very important concept in answering the question in regards to the postal rule. Okay, this is actually the reference for the first thing for the scenario. Okay, this is for the second scenario. The acceptance by Hassan is made by post. Okay, so it is necessary to refer to section 4.2, which provide that the acceptance is made by post. The proposer is bound by the contract as soon as the letter of acceptance is posted, regardless the letter has reached the proposer. You can refer to section 4.2 in the contract as well, yeah, to answer this question. Okay, then you can explain by writing the person who is stated in the scenario given. The rule in section 4 was also applied in this issue, Ignatius versus Bell. Remember, this is the first issue that I did mention to you. I think not mentioned here, but it is also applied in the following case. Let me see again. Okay, then in this case, the court held that the contract was concluded when the plaintiff posted the letter of acceptance on 16th of August. Okay, that means the postal rule also apply in the following court case that become the judicial precedent for the following issue that will be applied in case where you have the issue of postal. Okay, look at the explanation. Even though the letter only reached the defendant on 25th of August, which is beyond the date specified by the defendant, that is the 20th of 8 for the revocation. Okay. Right, and then there is issue if you look at on the right hand side in the box here. So applying the rule in section 4.2, is the contract formed between Ali and Hassan? Yes, the answer is yes, the contract is formed between Ali and Hassan on 13th of March. Is Alan entitled to sell the house to Chong? The answer definitely no, because once the contract is formed, Alan is not allowed to sell the house to someone else. Does it consider as breach of contract? Yes, because he should not sell to someone else. Once she or he sell to someone else, that means he has breached the contract. Then what they need to do, they may claim for the damages or they may claim for the specific performance to get back the property, so that the contract can be remain between Alan and Hassan. Okay. Now, let's go to reference for B as well. In the problem discussed above, Alan had sent the letter of revocation on 13th of March. Logically, it will reach Hassan a day or 2 days later. This is what I did mention. Communication of revocation must reach the person who would like to accept the revocation. If that is the scenario, a contract will be concluded between Alan and Hassan. That means because the question is the contract had been formed or not. Okay, so we can say a contract will be concluded, or we can say the contract will be formed because the acceptance has taken place before the communication of revocation is made. Therefore, the proposal revocation or revocation of proposal is not effective. This is the example on how you would like to answer this question. However, if it is assumed that the letter of revocation reached Hassan before he posted a letter on 13th of March, no contract is concluded. Okay, this is what I did mention also. Let's say they are also nowadays scenario. Okay, let's say I would like to answer, I would like to this statement. Can you see this statement, the last statement? But this is for question B. Okay, look at this statement and then you refer back to the question. Refer back to this one, slide number 12. Would your answer be different if Alan had sent a letter on 13th of March revoking the offer? Okay, I give you the scenario just now in purple color here. You can see in red color here. Okay, now the third scenario to answer B question. If letter of revocation by Alan, reach Hassan on 13th of March, maybe by 5 p.m. Okay. In this case, maybe Alan sent the letter very early in the morning, 8 a.m. and then 5 p.m. reach to Hassan. Okay. So in this case, if the letter of revocation reached Hassan on 13th of March, 5 p.m. and then at the same time, Hassan has sent the letter of acceptance. Let's say 5:01 p.m. Just different 1 minute. Let's say. Okay, let's say. Then what happened to the contract? What happened to the revocation? The revocation is valid. we can say that revocation is effective because the communication of the revocation has reached to the person who the revocation is made before the letter of acceptance is being carried out. This is happen nowadays as well. I remember there is the case where the letter had been reached the person in the house, so the letter had been accepted by his wife at 5 p.m. You can see when you receive the registered letter, you have to sign, right? And then there is the time, 5 p.m. And then Hassan has reached the post office 5:1 p.m. sending the letter of acceptance, and he also has the record of the letter of acceptance. He has the record of the time where he sent the letter by post. So in this scenario, we can say that the conclusion is the contract is not formed. The revocation is no longer, the revocation is valid because the revocation had been carried out before the acceptance is being carried out. Okay, so there are three scenarios that you can explain to answer B. So for B, you can give this three scenario. That's why I remember this question I gave in 15 marks last time. So you can think about this scenario. Okay. Okay, and then if I give you this question B, would your answer be different in 5 marks? Maybe you can give in any of the scenario, whether as long as the revocation is being made before the acceptance letter had been sent, then um, the revocation is valid. Okay, that is the principle. As long as the acceptance is being carried out, as long as the acceptance letter is being carried out before the revocation letter had been reached, then acceptance is valid. Okay, so that is the conclusion for the exercise. For the exercise number 2, you can apply this explanation to answer regarding to the issue of Fiona and also the Fiona and Lian just now. Okay, now that will be the end of the discussion for the revocation. With the reflect back to the issue that we have learned before in topic number 1 and 2, offer and acceptance. So in order for you to answer this question, it is not only referring to the revocation, but you have to check whether the acceptance clause have been identified, whether the revocation clause have been identified, what is postal rule, and how the acceptance is being made. So that will be the end of the discussion for revocation of offer and acceptance.